Hi everyone, Katie here from Clarkson with my mom Babs-Ann. It's that time of year where people are interested in either buying a new stand mixer or upgrading their old one. Today we're going to do a comparison and a little cook-off between two popular models, the Bosch Universal Plus mixer and the KitchenAid ARTISAN. I've had my KitchenAid ARTISAN for almost 8 years now, and my mom has had hers for...
It's about 20 years old at least, but it's still going strong. The only thing I've ever had to replace on it is the beaters, because I put them in the dishwasher and so the enamel wears off.
So if that doesn't say longevity, I don't know what does. It's very similar to the ARTISAN model. When I'm looking, they both have the same wattage and speeds. It's just a little bit bigger. I first heard about the Bosch Universal Plus mixer when I lived in Utah. They often offered cooking classes and I thought that those sounded fun. But I have heard that people love their Bosch Universal Plus mixers and that they have lasted them generations. I've seen people that pass them down from their child to their grandchild, so I thought that was pretty cool. They sent me one earlier this year and I've been using them both just to see what I like more, and I feel like I've had a good enough experience now that I can share the pros and cons of both. I want to start out by saying they're both great mixers. You're not going to be disappointed, I don't think, either way. There's just things about them that you may like with the KitchenAid or the Bosch more. So hopefully this review will give you an idea of which one is best for you. Before we do our cooking demonstration, I'm going to tell you a little bit about each mixer. This is the KitchenAid ARTISAN. Retail value is $4.99, though you can usually find them for about $300. They have lots of different mixers, but this is the one that comes with the 5-quart bowl. This one is very popular, so I thought it was a good one to include with this comparison. It is 325 watts, so it's about midline power, definitely more powerful than just, a $20 mixer at the store, or definitely more than your hand mixer. The KitchenAid comes with the stainless steel bowl that you can buy a glass bowl, the flour shield, a whisk attachment, the dough hook attachment, and a paddle. So this is not the one that comes with it. I got this one because it has the extra scraper on the side, but most of them just come without the scraper on it. But that comes standard. This one I think was about $20. It can make up to 4 loaves of bread at a time, and I think that's 1-pound loaves, or 9 dozen cookies. It has 10 speeds over here, so it can get pretty powerful. I rarely go above the middle one, but it'll just depend on your recipe.
That's what I found too, is the beginning speed, the lower speed, is pretty fast.
One of the big draws of the KitchenAid ARTISAN, and just pretty much the KitchenAid in general, is that they come in a lot of different colors. So a lot of people really just like to get them to match with their kitchen or their favorite color. The ARTISAN model has the tilt head like this. My mom's is a lift, which some of the other models have. There are a ton of attachments that you can get with your KitchenAid. I believe there's 10 that are compatible with the ARTISAN. And the one thing my mom really likes is that even if you have an older model like hers, you can still buy replacement pieces like the paddles or the bowls for them. Personally, I mainly use the whisk attachment and the dough hook and the paddles, but they have pasta makers, an ice cream maker, a big variety. So the things I like about the KitchenAid: first off, like I said earlier, it's pretty. I think it looks nice on your countertop. It's really easy to use. You just kind of plop in the attachments. You don't have to really think about it too much because they all just hook into the gear on the KitchenAid.
The way you put these attachments on, you push it up, you click it, and then you just turn it until it's in there, which works really well. As I said, I've had it for 20 years without any problems, but you do have to keep that area up there really cleaned out so that things won't stick, so that the attachments will go in smoothly.
I'm not always the best at cleaning it right afterwards, so it's kind of, it can get a little bit tricky to clean off things, but you feel like if you wipe it off right away, it's pretty good.
Oh yeah. If you can just do that every time you use it, then you're going to have a beautiful KitchenAid for the length of its life.
Yeah.
And then if you're in a hurry to put it away, just use warm water on it. Clorox wipes work fine too.
Yeah, I mean, I found this one to be pretty easy to clean. I feel like it's kind of slick and I feel like it comes off pretty easily, but that's just if you, I think with either of them, if you just remember to clean it, then it's good. What are some of the things that you've liked about yours over the year since you've had it for so long?
I think I like the size because it's usually good to make a batch. I can double the batch of cookies if I need to, so you have that option. It just works really well. It hasn't broken down at all, which I think is a great feature.
Especially because these are a couple $100, so you don't want to have to be replacing things on it every couple months or every year. Things I don't like, this one's kind of silly, but I don't like this splash shield. I don't feel like it's very useful. Oftentimes I still have flour that goes everywhere and it just kind of gets in the way. And you kind of feel that way too.
I actually had one too when I first got it, and I felt like it worked better, easier without it.
Even though I have both, I still use them regularly. Forrest tends to go with the KitchenAid. I usually have been using the Bosch lately just because I do more of those larger batches of cookies and bread, but Forrest likes the KitchenAid.
And the other thing too is that the mixing bowls are very dishwasher safe. I've never had to replace my mixing bowls. I bought 2 because some days I'll need 2 in the same day.
Yeah.
And it's very handy to put them in the dishwasher.
I actually have found with mine over the past year or so, it started overheating more, and I think it's just because I started putting more in it than I should do. It doesn't handle whole wheat flour very well, in my opinion. But if you're using white flour, making white flour bread, and maybe a little bit of wheat flour, it's not a big deal. But I have found it starts to overheat and smell like a weird smell if I put too much in it. Now for the Bosch Universal Mixer. Like I said, I've just had this for a couple of months, but I've really liked it. At first, it took me a little bit of time to get used to the different attachments and how to use it, but now I know exactly how to use it and it's not a big deal. I didn't think it looked as pretty as the ARTISAN at first, but it's actually grown on me and I actually think it looks really nice in the kitchen. It's longer this way, this way it's a little bit more of a footprint in your kitchen, but if you turn it this way, which I often do, it's pretty similar, maybe just a little bit more wide. Looks aside, the Bosch is a very powerful machine. I think that's a big selling point for it, especially for people that are baking a lot. But even if you don't bake a lot, it's still one to consider. It has an 800 watt motor, which is super, super powerful. Like I said, this is just 325, and I think the top of the line KitchenAid is about 700 watts. It has the capacity to make 9 loaves of bread or 15 pounds of whole wheat bread. It can also make 34 dozen cookies, which Forrest is a little skeptical about, but we're gonna have to try that sometime because it does seem like a lot of cookies to make at once. But the bowl is very big. Like the KitchenAid, it actually has a lot of attachments as well. It comes with the dough hook and I believe the whisks, the metal one, and this plastic one, which you only want to use for liquid, because I made the mistake of not using it for liquid and I almost broke it. I think that's one thing some people feel a little overwhelmed about at first, is that they have to put in different tops for different things, but once you get it figured out, it's not a big deal. They have a lot of different attachments though. I have the cookie paddles, which are great for making cookies. There's the cake paddles. They also have a pasta maker, a meat grinder, a blender that you can put right here. So it's very versatile. You can also turn it into an ice cream maker. The Bosch, just like the KitchenAid, has a lot of dishwasher safe parts, which is awesome. The only one that you can't put in the dishwasher is this gear that you put in underneath before you cook. I actually often forget about this and I have to put it in after I've already put ingredients in. So don't do that. But all of it is dishwasher safe besides that, which is awesome. Something about the cookie paddles that's interesting is that they've designed these to break, which might seem kind of weird, but you would rather have them break than the motor on your Bosch. So if you were to go and put too much in here or put too many toppings in your cookies or whatever, these will break first before the motor breaks. So that will save you. These are, $20, something like that. And this is $400. So it's definitely better to have these break rather than your motor. I love the splash shield. Like I said, I don't like the splash shield on the KitchenAid, but this is so nice because it closes on top. So things don't go flying everywhere, but you don't have to take off the entire thing to add new ingredients. So you just take off the top, you can pour it in and then put these back on. And even if you don't have this lid on top, I found that the splash shield keeps most things in as long as it's not piled up to the top. The main thing I don't like about the Bosch is this center pole right here in the center. It's not like a make or break thing, but sometimes when I will make bread, I like to just let it rise in this bowl, which you can't really do with this because it kind of gets in the way. Sometimes I find it gets a little bit in the way when I'm like kind of scraping things around, but it's mainly just a convenience thing. I'm not totally sure of the purpose of it. Just something that I personally have not loved is that center pole. The bottom has these suction feet, so it suctions to whatever it's on, which makes it very stable so you don't have to worry about it falling off, or your kid. Someone could pull it over if they've tried hard enough, but if you bump it, it's not going to fall off. The cord retracts into it, so it's not just like flying all over the place.
That's a nice feature.
We actually, I think we cut ours on the KitchenAid. At one point we have electrical tape around it, and I'm not sure how that happened, but it was probably just because we were cutting and it just happened to be there. Guess we're not that careful. So now that we've showed you both of the mixers, we're going to do a little mix off. We're going to do whipped cream and we're going to do rolls, because I think those are two interesting features that you can use with these, especially the bread, since that's a huge selling point for a stand mixer. So we're going to do that now, and we'll show you how they both do so you can see which one you think looks like it mixes better. We're going to start with the whipped cream first. We're going to put 1 cup of cream in each of the bowls. They do recommend chilling these beforehand, but I don't usually do that just because I forget. So it's okay if you don't, but it can help the whipping process. Now we're gonna just do a little bit of milk. I'm just gonna do a capful, which is about a teaspoon. You can do all sorts of mix-ins for your whipped cream to make them taste different, but this is a pretty classic recipe. Okay, so we're gonna use the whisk attachments. Like I said earlier, make sure that if you're using liquid with the Bosch that you use this white one, because it's only meant for liquid. All right, now we have mixed it all up. They took about the same amount of time, about a minute and a half or so, I'd say. And we're gonna do a taste test to see how it tastes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, this is definitely creamier. This one's definitely a little bit airier, so not a bad problem either way, if you ask me. Okay, so after we go and clean these bowls out, we're gonna do a knead test next for our rolls. This is using my quick dinner roll recipe that I love. You can make it in under an hour. So we're gonna see how both of their kneading tools work, and you can see side by side. Now we're gonna make our rolls. We're gonna put them both the same ingredients in these, the same recipe, and then we'll show you how it kneads it. So this is the dough hook for the Bosch, and they have a dough hook extender which goes around and scrapes the inside, which is really helpful for smaller batches like this. For the KitchenAid, we also have their dough hook, so you can see the comparison. This one's a little bit bigger, a little harder to store, but it's really good. And then this one has always worked for what I need it to. Now we're gonna add in the rest of the ingredients and we'll do the knead test. With the dough hook, you don't have to knead it yourself usually. Sometimes when I take it out, I will do a little bit of just a little bit of kneading a couple of times, but for the most part, it kneads it all in there. So we'll let this rise. We won't show you probably the finished product just because that'll take a little bit more time, but that showed you how it looks like when it kneads. One thing about the Bosch is that it comes standard with this plastic bowl, which at first I was a little surprised by that because I really like stainless steel, but apparently they do that because it helps with the bread making process and I think with the proofing of the yeast.
There, you can see those. They look pretty much identical.
Yeah, they feel the same.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and let these rise for a little while and then we'll cook them. So we're done with our mix-off and explaining them. Obviously, these are both great machines, and a lot of it just comes down to your budget and what features you want. I've had good luck with my KitchenAid over the years, and my mom has too, and I really love the Bosch now, especially since I'm doing a lot more bread baking and cookies in kind of larger batches.
Especially if you're going to do larger batches, that's a great feature on the Bosch.
Yeah, and with any machine, it takes time to get used to it. I've been used to the KitchenAid my whole life, so it's taken me a little bit of time to get used to the Bosch and how it works, but I've heard the same from people that have used Bosches forever. They think it's easier to use. Pretty much look at the features and go from there and decide which one is best for you. Most of the time you can get this around $3.99. This one you can get usually around $300, maybe a little bit more depending on the time of year. I recommend waiting for things like Black Friday. Sometimes there's sales during the summer, and we always have the best deal for Bosch through our partner link, which you can find in our description, and we also have links to the KitchenAid in case you want to check out the deals that are going on with those right now. If you do end up going with the Bosch, we have an ultimate guide to the Bosch mixer on our blog, Clark's Condensed. You can get that link in our description for this video. Be sure to leave any questions or comments that you might have because we're happy to answer them. Thanks for tuning in.